Attention passionate Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Pittsburgh Steelers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Pittsburgh Steelers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. Let's talk about a potential game changer that's been buzzing around the league lately. Whispers about Jahmyr Gibbs possibly heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, I know it sounds like something straight out of a football fantasy, but the rumors are gaining traction and the implications are huge. And if you're a Steelers fan, you should know that the idea of adding a versatile, explosive back like Gibbs could really shake up our offense, and maybe even our entire playoff outlook. So what's the story? Well, sources have been whispering that the Detroit Lions, sitting at 6'4", are considering trading Gibbs, a dynamic, multi-dimensional running back, for a second-round pick in 2026. Why? Because the Lions are in a bit of a tough spot cap-wise, with about $21 million in space, and they're looking to rebuild their offensive line while also prioritizing extensions for players like Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Lions, despite their offensive firepower led by Jared Goff, are struggling with their defense, allowing about 6 points per game, and their third down efficiency is exactly stellar, just 36%. That's a lot of moving parts, and it's forcing them to make some tough choices. Now the timing is interesting because the trade deadline already passed on November 4th, so this whole scenario is still hypothetical. But Diana Rossini, a trusted NFL insider, mentioned that there's some fatigue in the Lions' backfield. That's pretty telling. Gibbs, who's only in his second season, has shown flashes of brilliance, and he's not just a runner. He's a weapon that can catch out of the backfield, create YAC yards after contact, and make plays that spark the entire offense. Let's talk about Gibbs himself. This guy is the real deal. Coming out of Alabama, he's accumulated over 100 rushing yards with 15 touchdowns, averaging 1 yards per carry, and his PFF grade is an impressive 85.4. Not to mention, he's also amassed over 800 receiving yards with 5 receiving touchdowns, adding a dangerous dimension to any offense he's part of. His ability to create yardage after contact, for 2 yards per run, makes him a nightmare for defenses. In 2025, he's already racked up solid numbers, with 732 rushing yards in just 10 games, averaging over 73 yards per game, and he's scored 8 rushing touchdowns. Plus, he's caught 37 passes on 43 targets for 334 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. That kind of dual-threat skill set is exactly what the Steelers need to elevate their offense. Now there's a lot of talk about how Gibbs could seamlessly fit into our scheme, especially with Najee Harris. Imagine this: Gibbs and Harris sharing carries, forcing defenses to respect both runners and opening up play-action opportunities for Kenny Pickett. Gibbs' versatility could boost our rushing yards per game from a lackluster 73 to well over 100, which is a game changer. Our current run game has been a bit of a sore spot, averaging just 73. 2 yards per game, which simply isn't enough to keep defenses honest or open up our passing game. Gibbs could be the spark that ignites that unit, much like Christian McCaffrey did with the 49ers, balancing their attack and making them unpredictable. But let's not forget the strategic side for the Lions. They need cap space, especially after dealing with some injuries on their defensive line. Trading Gibbs would free up about $8 million in cap space, giving them some breathing room to address their front seven. They're also trying to stay competitive this season, but the risk is that they might be losing a player who's shown he can be elite. His 85.4 PFF grade highlights that. If the Lions decide to move on from Gibbs, it could be a sign that they're more focused on the future, retooling their roster and trying to build a stronger, more balanced team. For the Steelers, this kind of move could be a massive boost. Our run game has struggled, averaging just 73. 2 yards per game, and it's been a clear weakness in our offense. Adding Gibbs would instantly improve that, giving us a true dual-threat back who can carry the load when needed and catch passes out of the backfield. Plus, with Gibbs in the mix, our offense would become much more explosive, forcing defenses to respect the run and opening up more options for Kenny Pickett to work with. His ability to generate yards after contact and avoid tackles in 25% of his runs adds to his explosiveness, making him a perfect fit for our scheme. And if we look at the bigger picture, Gibbs could be the X factor we need to push us into the playoffs and make a deep run, especially as the weather gets colder. His agility and vision would be crucial in snowy, gritty conditions, much like what we saw with Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco. Gibbs, passing game contributions with an average of 9 yards per catch, add another layer of threat that defenses would struggle to contain. His versatility would allow us to run more play action and keep defenses guessing, a vital element for any team aiming for a deep postseason run. Now, let's talk about the potential impact in terms of Super Bowl odds. Right now, the Steelers sit at plus 1,200 to win Super Bowl LXI, but if we make a move to bring in Gibbs, those odds could improve significantly, maybe down to plus 650, a 45% boost. That's a huge jump, and it signals how much a player like Gibbs could shift our entire outlook. He's the kind of player who can be a game changer in the playoffs, especially in cold, tough conditions, where his ability to create yards after contact and make plays in tight spaces could be the difference between a deep run and an early exit. Of course, this all hinges on whether the Lions are willing to part ways with Gibbs and whether the Steelers can make the cap work. But the potential is there. Pittsburgh has been slowly building its identity, focusing on a strong defense and a balanced offense that can grind out games. Adding a weapon like Gibbs would not only elevate our offense, but also send a message to the rest of the league that the Steelers are serious contenders, not just for this season, but for the future. The division is heating up, and teams are constantly looking to improve, especially before the trade deadline. The AFC North is becoming a war zone, with the Bengals and Ravens both lurking as threats, and the Browns trying to find consistency. If the Steelers can make a splash and land Gibbs, it could tip the scales in our favor, giving us a real shot at not just making the playoffs, but contending for another Super Bowl. With Gibbs' ability to balance our offense, improve our explosive plays, and help us control the clock more effectively, he might just be the missing piece that propels us into that elite tier. And as always, the Steelers faithful, we've seen our team make bold moves before. We've witnessed players rise from the shadows and lead us to glory. This potential trade is just another chapter in our storied history of resilience and ambition. We're not content with just being good, we want to be great, and adding a player like Gibbs could be the step that takes us there. So keep your eyes peeled, Steelers Nation, because this story is far from over, and the coming weeks could bring some surprises. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Steelers. Do you think Gibbs is the perfect fit for our offense? Would you be willing to part with a second-round pick in 2026 for a player like him? Or do you think the Lions should hold on to Gibbs and focus on their own rebuild? Whatever your thoughts, let us know. We love hearing from the best fans in the NFL. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news. Keep the faith, Steelers Nation, because the best is yet to come.